All right, everybody, welcome into, we're just rolling out podcasts daily at this point, but I would say another weekly edition, but at this point it's daily of Cover One Buffalo. Nate Geary here this time. No AQ, no Aaron Quinn today, but Erik Turner's with me, of course, the founder of Cover One, joining me after a long drive from Pittsford, New York, back up to the hometown, and only about an hour drive for me, so just about a 4-hour difference for us, bro.
Yeah, it was, it was fun attending those first 3 days of camp, but, I headed back to the North Country. It was a good 5.5-hour drive or so. So I got home a few hours ago, and I definitely wanted to do this with you, man. I think it's a perfect opportunity for us to take a look at some film of day 3 of training camp.
Some film of, I think, maybe the most interesting day so far of camp. Now, I wasn't around for day 1 and day 2. But I think today was maybe the most interesting for a couple reasons without even practice starting. It's first day of pads. So it's kind of a better opportunity to evaluate, especially from a standpoint of you want to see what guys look like when the pads are popping. But more importantly, when the quarterbacks are throwing with the pads on, it's a different feel. It's a totally different look. And everyone talks about how good Josh Allen looks in shorts. Well, today he put the pads on, and not only did he have the best day of all 3 quarterbacks, I thought that he took a step in a direction in this quarterback battle that the other guys simply haven't taken yet.
Yeah, definitely. It was, as you mentioned, it was awesome to have the pads on today and to hear the popping. And you saw the enthusiasm at practice of them during their inside drills when the linemen are going against the linemen, when the receivers are going against the DBs and the one-on-ones out there. You saw the enthusiasm. You saw the character that you want to see on the first day, that flair, that that enthusiasm. So it was nice to see, those guys actually hitting each other. And that's one thing I wasn't able to see the first couple of days because you can't really evaluate offensive defensive line and even linebackers for that most part without having those pads on. So it was nice to be out there and witness the first day of hitting.
So I think it's interesting, and I want to bring this up before we really dive into our film study today, which is really the culmination of a few days of training camp and a couple of plays that stood out to us. I find it interesting that you look across the league, and the major news across the league from now until week 1 is going to be who gets injured. And I have a wood table here. I'm knocking on it right now, but I don't know what the Bills are doing. But since Sean McDermott's come here and they changed around some of the training staff and they did some work, this team hasn't been getting injured in the conditioning portion. Like LA the Chargers lost their starting corner in conditioning. Yeah. The Bills have remained healthy through 3 days. Kelvin Benjamin left the field today, ended up coming back. But the fact that they've been able to stay healthy throughout at least the beginning part of training camp here, and last year in training camp, they really went through training camp unscathed in terms of injuries. So whatever they're doing, it's working. I just wanted to bring that up because this is the time of year you're going to hear about the Achilles and the ACLs. It's just it runs rampant through the league. And I don't know, maybe it's because the Bills practice on grass that they're able to sort of mitigate some of those high impact or those cut injuries. But whatever they're doing, it's working. And I just wanted to kind of bring that out because you look across the league and injuries are really sort of everywhere.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And I think the Bills also took proactive measures in the offseason, aside from the lifting and strength and conditioning programs. They had to add depth, and they know that they got lucky last year. And I do think that something's going to come up, Nate. Something is, and they got to have guys in place to replace starters at one time or another this year. It's just going to happen. And I think that the depth is being built. I don't think it's where they want it to be, but I do think that on a daily basis, you see them. They're still bringing guys in, and they're still moving people around. So I don't think it's you're going to see that stuff every other day, every week probably from this team, because they're not only looking to getting to look better, but they want to add guys to their depth, and because things are going to come up.
So 2 housekeeping matters before we get into what everyone's here for, and I'm glad that you just lean back a little bit because we've got 2 Cover One #ManFree shirts to give away during this podcast. The first question that you have to answer correctly, and you can do it right here in the chat. Whoever responds first in the chat to the correct answer is going to win a free Cover One shirt, which was actually very dope because I saw Erik today as I was walking through the tunnel. I was trying to get his attention, but you couldn't. You weren't listening. you were trying to scape out. and get out of practice so you can get out of dodge.
Oh, did you say Turner? Or did you
I was yelling, Turner, Turner. I kept yelling Turner because I was like, that shirt is dope. I wanted to yell at you. But so we're going to give away 2 of these bad boys. I'm going to come up with the first question. Eric's going to come up with the second question a little bit later in the program. But whoever puts in the correct response of who Josh Allen completed that beautiful pass down the left sideline to during practice today is going to win a Cover One T-shirt. And it's dope on the shirt. I don't know if you show them the sleeve, man, but you got the Cover One logo on the sleeve. That's what caught my eye first.
So right there, and then you got the logo on the side right here, if you can see it.
So we want to know, who did Josh Allen connect with on the left sideline during practice today for a touchdown? Whoever answers it correct in the chat's going to win one of the T-shirts. And as I mentioned, we got another one to give away before the end of this. And the second thing, before we really get into the meat and potatoes here, of course, is don't forget, go up to the Apple iTunes store, go up to Google Plus, Google,
Spotify, we're everywhere.
Right, everywhere.
YouTube.
Go download and download the app. Because I'll tell you what, right now, if you have the app, you knew 15 minutes beforehand. And Nick Lettieri is our winner for the T-shirt.
Bingo.
So, Nick, good call, man. You're going to get a free Cover One T-shirt. So you'll be looking swagged up. So just make sure you shoot Eric,
shoot me an email or a DM. My email is cover1eatturner@yahoo. So if you want to shoot me an email that way, you can get your shirt, give me your address, or just DM me. I'll make sure to add you on Twitter or whatever social media that you're operating on.
Type that right in on these box there, Nick. So just shoot Eric an email and he'll get you hooked up. We appreciate it. So let's dive into it, Eric, because we've got sort of a bird's eye view of practice that we're going to be sort of breaking down for y'all. And I think first and foremost, let's talk about, because this is going to lead right into this. This scheme is, I want to swear, because it is so awesome. Like, and maybe I'm overreacting because of what we were put through last year.
I think that's a rational explanation right there, Nate, because I felt the same way with you, man. I was obviously blown away the first couple of days, and I couldn't watch the defense because I was so enamored with the offense. Is that how you felt?
I said the same thing. So I was trying to tell Sal, I'm like, listen, you have to go watch defense, because I couldn't. I walked over to defense for, I don't know, 3 minutes, and I went right back over to the offense. I watched the offense all day today. The empty sets is what they were really, really focusing on today. Moving guys in from the 5 wide receiver set. As you can see, DeMarco and LaShawn McCoy both on the field here with the ones. So, of course, DeMarco's going to move in the backfield. And what I like, too, is having DeMarco as your blocker and having LaShawn McCoy flanked out wide. So let's get into this film study, Eric.
Okay, so I wanted to start off with just kind of, touching upon the Daboll offense, because it's something, yes, that I've spent a ton of time this offseason talking about. We all have, and we're trying to break it down this whole offseason. But to actually see it was really exciting, as Nate had mentioned. And, I mean, just like this, Nate had said, they worked a lot in empty set today. And this is a play with Josh Allen, a quarterback. And you had mentioned DeMarco and Shady wide. I mean, if you look at these two, and this is the base offense, Nate. Mm-hmm. You got DeMarco, you have Charles Clay, and then you're going to have Shady down here to the bottom.
It's 21 personnel.
It's base 21. Yeah. I mean, think about that. That's Daboll in a nutshell. He's gonna give you a base matchup or a base personnel or any type of personnel, but he's going to give you a different look with that personnel. Normally, any other year, Nate, what are you going to probably see with 21 personnel out of this? What type of formation?
I formation, offset eye, things like that. But here's what I want you to do. Like, if you could go back like half a second, what I want to look at right now, if you stop right there, who is the last defender to the left of the screen? It's Lorenzo Alexander.
So, yes.
That is sort of the exact epitome of why you do what Brian Daboll's doing in this pre-snap formation. Yep. You have moved probably the one mismatch in the pass game all the way out to the numbers. Like, that is working mismatches across the field. That's why this may look silly or gimmicky to people, but right there is the perfect example. Without even starting into the film, you see the benefit of moving out your least athletic linebacker out on your running back on LaShawn McCoy out at the numbers.
You nailed it, because if you're in 21 personnel, guess what? You're going to have base defense right here. You got 3 linebackers on the field. So that right there is dictating matchups. And again, you're putting a guy like that, like Zoe, he's not the most adept player in space. Can he do it? Yes, but you don't want him in coverage more times than not. So you'll see the movement. And this is one thing Nate had mentioned. You see the movement by LaShawn McCoy coming into the backfield. And Nate, what does that do when you bring a running back? It's something simple like that, from being out wide to the backfield. What does that do to a quarterback? What does it show him?
So it's going to show him whether it's man or it's zone, because if Lorenzo Alexander follows him in, which he does, he's now identifying the coverage easier, which if you're a rookie, what's the one thing you want to do as a rookie? You want to make things simpler. You want to have your keys sort of jump out at you while you're in it real time. This is how you do it.
Yes, and you're right. And I like this play. This is something that Daboll brought over, and you're going to see shady motion to the backfield, but then they snap the ball, and he's going to run over here. Okay, so now let's look to that side of the field, guys. Let's look to that side of the field. How many guys do they have?
You got 2 hats.
2, 3, and then you got 3 receivers. Well, guess what that's called? That's a hat on a hat. Yep. And that's one of your best players in space with a hat on a hat. And hold on, kudos to Josh Allen here, right?
This is a throw he rarely made successfully on film in college. It really struggled with this throw. He lofted it over Shaq Lawson's head perfectly on this play. More so, I was more impressed that he led LaShawn McCoy, and LaShawn does LaShawn things at the end of this play and ends up just smoking the entire defense. But it just goes to show you that there are subtle things that Josh Allen, I think in his head, is starting to work out and started to figure out that he needs to maintain perfect lower body mechanics to complete balls like this. He doesn't need perfect body mechanics to hit a 70-yard ball downfield or throw on the run or hit a deep in route or a seam route. He needs perfect mechanics when perfect mechanics are required, and that is the screen game, the slip screen game, and this part of his game right here, which is a much more difficult throw than people are really willing to give this throw credit for.
Yeah, and he has to process this defensive end because Shaq read it, man. Shaq read it really perfectly. And then as you said, Allen led him upfield. And the other thing I want you guys to take a look at, it's second down right now. You look at the chain right here; it's second down, and they have a long ways to go. You see, that's probably about a 10 yards. So I don't know I can't remember what happened on first down because this is not going to go in order. This film's not going to go in order, but this is a 2nd and 10 play. So this is a big play. And to get an explosive play, to get a hat on a hat, to get your best player, off to the races like this is good schematics. This is good execution by the offense coordinator.
Absolutely. But you mentioned it. It's the scheme. It's the schematics of that play. And that's not the only screen or I guess bubble or out to your running back that I saw today that impressed me. The disguising that Brian Daboll is employing really to me. And I talked a little bit about this on Sports Talk Saturday today, that what I think I'm most excited about is I think you're foolish to think that by the Bills trading Tyrod Taylor and bringing in A.J. McCarron and Josh Allen that they got better today in the quarterback room. They didn't. They took a step back in the quarterback room, but what they took a step forward in is scheme. And I think those two things whitewash each other. I think that this offense can be very similar as it was last year, except in terms of yardage and analytics. But I think what they'll bring more of is that big play potential because they have a quarterback right now in Josh Allen who's on the field here who's willing to take the risks.
Yeah, and we saw a couple of those, and some worked out in his favor today, and some didn't. And with this clip, this is the only clip I brought over from the prior couple of days of practice, but I wanted to show fans something I had broken down on Twitter because it's something that's been talked about the first few days, and that's putting Kelvin Benjamin in the slot, right? I mean, we saw it today, we saw it the last few days, and I love this for so many reasons. But Nate, I want to hear your opinion about putting him in the slot.
So I've sort of compared a little bit. I think in the league, if you look at Rob Gronkowski, the one guy that is maybe the most like or boasts sort of the same skill sets as Rob Gronkowski is Kelvin Benjamin. He's got that size, he's got that thickness, and he's also got the athleticism. On this, I think what this is right here is you're utilizing Josh Allen's most, I would say, safe and maybe the most established part of his passing game, the seam route over the middle. Other than that, you've got like the double post concept that I think Josh Allen throws really well. Other than that, his seam route is very effective. How do you scheme Kelvin Benjamin open? Because that to me was a bad thing that Rick Dennison wasn't really able to do. He wasn't able to scheme his man wide receivers who struggle against man open. Brian Daboll's doing that by doing this right here, and that's keeping Kelvin Benjamin on a slot corner, like or a safety, and that is a mismatch all day long.
I like putting him in the slot, especially in these three wide sets, 3x1 sets, because he has the size of a tight end. He has a size, and then the routes that he does run well, those digs, those ins, those basketball routes over the middle of the field. This is where they can use him in that quasi tight end role. I mean, that's what is big around the league now. So if we have Charles Clay and Benjamin inside the middle of the field, I mean, honestly, when you think about what Dennison did last year, the fact that he didn't do this last year is kind of embarrassing, because that's what he does. He runs those tight end routes well. And a lot of people outside of Buffalo, they knock on Benjamin saying he is a tight end. Well, whatever, embrace it. What does he do well? This is what he does well. We're going to put him in a slot. But on this play, it's not that he's the one getting open. What I love about this play here is the fact that he is used as a shield. Okay, so you're going to see Charles Clay right here, all right, in the slot, and we're going to see him motion back and forth. And of course, this is one thing that happens pretty much every play, right, Nate? Motion, some kind of motion, some kind of movement, because it shows you what coverage they're in. And you see Hyde follow him. What is that? That's man coverage.
Man coverage. Yep.
And so where the play starts is Clay stacked now on Kelvin Benjamin. And so with this press defender here, there's going to be some kind of disruption right off the snap, all right? But you see the release by Benjamin's inside, the stem's inside, so he's going to get gains right here. He's going to get him to turn right into him. But what does Hyde have to do working over the top? He has to somehow work to the middle of the field too, because that's the stem that Charles Clay's taken over the middle of the field, right, Nate?
So once he sort of crosses, and in this case, he doesn't end up, if he was coming across on that route, once he crosses that middle linebacker's face, he probably becomes open, and he becomes an extremely difficult person to cover if you're Micah Hyde, because you're essentially trailing him the whole time. All that it really takes in this situation is a good throw that leads him. He pivots this, though, and you see them practicing this a ton. I noticed during like one-on-ones and during 7-on-7s that Brian Daboll is super vocal about this particular route. He wants this done with precision. He wants
tutors it every day.
Yes. Every day. This route, he is extremely vocal about this route. This, to me, is probably the most important route in this offense from what I saw today. And what this does, as you mentioned it, is him rubbing up inside and taking that inside stem. It forces Micah Hyde to take a bad angle. He has to. And look right now. Micah Hyde is completely irrelevant to this play. Josh Allen could loft this ball to Charles Clay once he gets that pivot back, and he's got a blocker upfield. You just highlighted in there. He's got a blocker upfield to make a play upfield. So not only, and what you're going to notice too is, I think what we're going to talk a lot about is how Brian Daboll is scheming his lack of speed and athleticism at the wide receiver position open, and what that's going to mean for this team and what that's going to mean for the playmakers on this team. But more importantly, I think you see it, and honestly, I'm sure we'll have the play, but the touchdown to Kalen Clay from Josh Allen is sort of a similar concept to this, where you get a rub and you get a stemming. It's essentially it's a legal pick play is what it is.
That's what the Patriots are known for. I mean, they made it famous. There's no doubt about that. And I love that you mentioned how he's scheming up these man coverage concepts, because, we saw a lot of man coverage last year, which was surprising when you have a mobile quarterback like Tyrod Taylor. Now, it'll be interesting to see how teams defend us this year with, any of these three quarterbacks, because I know there's some athleticism to each of the quarterbacks, but they're not Tyrod Taylor. And so how defenses scheme up against us this coming year is going to be interesting to see. But I thought the last couple of days, the Bills defense particularly have played a lot of man coverage. And so it was nice to see Daboll scheme up plays like this, where you're just going to be able to beat man coverage, and just little details like the stem of KB's route there. Just that little stem inside is going to turn that corner. He's not looking at the ball at all, obviously. Then Hyde has to work over the top of that, thinking Clay's coming across the middle. But, and you have even Edmonds just sitting here. If Clay comes across the middle, Edmonds probably picks him up. But, he just has such a good route here into a void on the defense against a man coverage. A really nice play call from Brian Daboll. And it's just something you're going to see so often from him. And that pivot route, Nate, you're right. Every single day he has worked on that pivot route with every single receiver, every single tight end. That is the route so far in the first 3 days of camp. And something we saw today, which I really like, it's something that, we've talked about a lot. It's, calling two plays in a huddle. If you watch the athletic breakdown I did with Eric Wood, it's something that every team does. Every team has plays where they'll have a check with me or two calls in the huddle. And this was just a play I thought it was really simple. It was just an outside zone paired with a bubble, and it's an RPO. And what McCarron's doing, he's just reading the box. If there's a certain amount of guys in the box, he's just going to swing it out here to the wide receiver that's running the bubble. And you'll see it. Okay, boom, it's out there. It's quick. And guess what? Give me 5 yards. I mean, that's just little things like that I love, man. And you see the run that's called out here with, I think that's Ivory in the backfield. So the offensive line and the running back are running outside zone, but AJ knows he's just going to fire it out wide to this. I think it's Brandon Riley out wide and on that bubble route.
Yep. Yeah. And this play sort of epitomizes what Bills fans have been just begging for years. It's, look, you have an off player. You have a player. I mean, if you highlight that player, I don't know who that is, Sarah Neal, maybe it's someone. It doesn't really matter who it is. But if you look at the line of scrimmage, your wide receiver's 2 steps back off the line of scrimmage, and that guy's 4 yards off the line of scrimmage. So right there, you've generated that space, that area to work with, and all you need is a guy who it doesn't matter who's out there, Foster, Cam Phillips, or really it doesn't matter who's out there, because if the ball is thrown correctly, it's 5 yards in a cloud of dust. It's essentially an extension of a run. You mentioned it really is.
No, you nailed it. And that's just little thing. And I know that the pass isn't quite accurate, but it's still 5 yards on an easy, that's a gimme play. You know, they got numbers to the outside. This DB that's coming down late, as you mentioned, I'm not sure who it is, but he's coming down late. There's no way he's outflanked. There's no way he can get there. And so, I mean, that's just a hat on a hat outside again. And that's a numbers game. And that's a free 5 yards from an offense. And you see AJ, he's pumped up there a little bit. That's a good call. Give me 2 plays in the huddle. Let me run the play. It's a really good scheme right there. And this is a play. I don't know if you remember this. It's just a little play action pass from Josh Allen to Kaiir over the middle. A little inaccurate, but this just reminded me of, the Chan Gailey and of course the Patriots. Look, you'll see the center or the left guard pull here. I mean, that's run action. Look at the linebackers. Look at our Tremaine Edmonds and Matt Milano. These are guys that are supposed to be in that second level area. Well, that play action fake, that pull by the guard, they think it's, the ball's coming downhill. And really, it leaves Clay wide open over the middle.
You're right, a little inaccurate, but this is actually the first play of the second portion this is the final portion of team. And I remember it specifically because, yes, it was a little behind him, but what I loved about their pulling the guard there is it gives Josh Allen an extra second, because a lot of times on these play actions on the blind side, that's where a quarterback gets killed. Like a lot of times his head's down, and when he makes the fake and he comes back up to then throw. I mean, if he didn't have that puller, he's probably got a guy right in his face.
Yeah.
So the thing that I look at in this play is obviously Charles Clay's wide open, and he does need to do a better job of leading him. But these are the sorts of plays, and even the play prior, where you just see a level of understanding that you just didn't get last year with Rick Dennison. It just seemed like last year they let what the defense do, whatever they were doing to them, that dictated how they called plays. I just don't get the sense that from Brian Daboll, he wants to dictate what the defense is doing.
No doubt about it.
And that is such a refreshing thing. And you see it. Listen, this is the number one defense. You got all, basically, other than Trent Murphy, you've got all the starters out there right now. Yeah. So that tells you that they're going out there against the number one defense, and they're bringing it to them. And I love that.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to know, when you got that guard pulling, it's dangerous because then on the backside you're going to have...
You worry about Jerry Hughes.
Yeah, Dawkins is hinging inside, and then he's hinging. He's supposed to, try to get a piece of Jerry. But look at the play fake, the ball handling skills. One thing I really liked about Allen coming out was his ball handling skills. And watch what that fake does to Jerry Hughes. He goes right at the running back. He doesn't even know that Josh Allen has the ball right in front of him. And Allen, you watch to the very end of the clip, he stands tall in the pocket, and he takes a hit here. He could take a hit. If they're actually hitting the quarterback, he probably would have got hit. But, the ball is on the back hip a little bit. That's fine. But, Clay should catch this and still stay on his feet. But nonetheless, I like the play calling. Again, I thought it was reminiscent of the Chan Gailey years and obviously the Patriots scheme the last decade or so.
Yeah, and I think the theme that we're going to continue seeing here is talking about the scheme. And I think that is maybe more important than any success that Josh Allen or any of these quarterbacks are going to have. It's really going to stem from how can Brian Daboll make it easier for these guys. And we talked about the motioning and creating a more an easier arena for you to figure out what the defense is throwing at you, and little things like that, pre-snap motions. And the pivot routes, the stemming, the placement of wide receivers and tight ends and things like that, or having multiple tight ends on the field, which I saw a ton. I saw a ton of Logan Thomas on the field at the same time with Kelvin Benjamin and Charles Clay. Like, no one's really afraid that you're going to outrun them, but that's a lot of size on the field for a quarterback who will likely be willing to throw into contested spots. Give me those three and a contested ball over just about any defender in the league.
No, definitely. And we're going to move on to this is during a matchup period where the receivers play against the DBs.
Is this the Ray McLeod play?
This is the Ray McLeod play. So I want to set it up by showing you guys how many are actually defenders are in the screen. So you got 1 here, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, and then you're going to have one over here. So you have about 6 guys that are dropping down to within 5 to 7 yards versus an empty set. Again, we talked how much they actually worked out of empty. It was probably the most I've seen in the first few days. And what you're going to have McLeod do here is just he's going to widen out here, and then he's just going to come back, bend it back down the seam. So with how this many defenders within the line, first 5 to 7 yards of line of scrimmage, it's basically a cover one or a single high look. So and when the ball snapped, you can watch the corner over here. He's just in a bail technique, and he's going to drop what it looks like to be basically cover 3. But I want you to keep an eye on McLeod here. He's going to get disrupted, but then he's going to work down the seam. So he's going to clear that defender, and then Allen just look where his eyes are. Nate, is he looking at McLeod?
No, he's looking straight up the field. And that's another thing I noticed when I was off with the quarterbacks, that Daboll took all 3 quarterbacks. And what they did is they did a drill, and everyone else is doing contact drills. And, the quarterbacks are divas. They don't do any of those contact drills. They go to the side, and they seem like they're doing nothing. They're just kind of like throwing the ball to each other. They're taking drops, and Daboll is telling them every time that they don't look into his eyes while they're taking their drops. And I love that. He's telling them, look me in the eye. Look me in the eye. Now look. And he's working those little things. And so far, I've noticed that Josh Allen, I haven't seen him stare down really anybody all day yet today. I didn't see him stare down anybody. What he is doing, other than the Kalen Clay touchdown, but when we get to that was a scheme to play. Like, that was your primary target on that play. So, but on this play specifically, where he throws this football is right off the helmet of the defender, and it's exactly how the throw is coached.
Oh, and the trajectory, man. You talk about the trajectory of this throw.
Perfect.
So obviously it has to have velocity because, as I mentioned, you're going to have that corner dropping into what appears to be a deep third. He's sitting right here, right? So typically when you're dropping, if this is cover 3 as it looks, that guy is supposed to split the 2 verticals. So he's supposed to split, I think this is Clay here, and then you're going to have, obviously, Ray McLeod here working towards the middle. Well, he doesn't quite do that. But look at the trajectory of this pass, and I'll try to stop it right where you can see it. But it's right here. All right, so here's Stanford. Look at him get up. No shot. And it's on a line. And here's McLeod. Here's that corner that's going to try to break on it. Obviously, the safety's not on the screen. I mean, that placement. Look at that. I mean, McLeod snags it with his hands. If he doesn't snag that too, with his good hands catch, what happens? It might be intercepted.
And here's the thing. It's inadvertent, but Ray McLeod's going to take a shot in a real game right here.
Probably, yes.
But you know what? He's protected. The throw protected him from taking a chin shot here.
Yeah.
Like, though at worst, he's going to take a hit on his back shoulder and the back part of his shoulder or low. And that's a hit he's going to get up from. But if you lead that ball into that cornerback where he can collide with him or he could chin him, like, that's a play where that guy's getting carted off the field. So what I liked about it is not only the accuracy of the throw, but where he led him on that part of the field.
Yeah, it was a really nice play, man. And I'm honestly, when he was dealing that play, I was blown away, honestly, because I was not expecting that from him on that play. It was a really nice play down the seam, and I had mentioned I listened to you and Sal on the way home, and Sal had been impressed with these seam routes that Allen has thrown, which when you watch some of his film in college, it wasn't really his best throw. He tended to overthrow a little bit in college when he threw down the seam, but that one I liked the throw, especially when you're talking to a smaller receiver. I mean, that's a tough throw. That with the trajectory, with the ball speed that needs to be on that, and the location. I mean, I give him a plus on that.
Absolutely, 100%. And this is another play too. I know the exact play on this one too, where I just this kind of play right here, and this is going to show you. This is the interception, correct?
No, this is actually a spacing concept. So what's
okay. So I thought this was the next play.
No, that we're going to get to that, but you're going to see Taiwan Jones motion to the backfield, and it just appears like they're in zone coverage, right? There's not a linebacker out there with Taiwan Jones, so they're motioning him to the backfield. It makes it nice and easy for Allen. So now we got a trips set over here to the field. So, right, we got 3 guys right here, and all they're going to be doing is just running some curls, and they're going to run a curl in the middle of the field with Prohl. You're going to have a flat route by this number 3 tight end. I believe it is. I can't remember his name, but he's running a flat route. But here's McLeod right here, and I just want you to watch him because he's just going to work upfield. He's going to run a little, hitch, and look where Allen's eyes are.
Yeah, right into the center of the field. And not only that, I just love. He's a big guy. He stands tall in the pocket. He can see everything that's happening on the field. I love that. That's one of my favorite parts about him is how tall he stands in the pocket. How many times, I know how many times I've been told that when I'm going back from my coach, stand tall in the pocket, stand tall. It's something that a lot of times can't really be coached. You just have to physically be able to do it. And not only that, he just seems so comfortable, which is not what I was sort of expecting him at this point.
Yeah. And this is, if this was man coverage, he probably works the other side of the field with a little curl and then a wheel. That's something he did so much at Alabama last year. It was one of his primary plays that made it really easy for Jalen Hurts. And if you remember the national championship game, Roquan lit up Bo Scarborough on the sideline on this very same concept to the backside. So again, you have a zone concept to one side of the field and you have probably a man beater to the other side of the field. Mm-hmm. So again, very good schematics, very good execution by the rookie quarterback.
No question. And he delivers an accurate ball there. It was a little high. Obviously it wasn't right in the chest, but I told this to Sal when we were on today. If you notice compared to when Nathan Peterman or AJ McCarron's throwing compared to when Josh Allen's throwing, none of these receivers let Josh Allen's throws get to their chest because it would literally take the breath out of them. It really would have. When they let Nathan Peterman's ball hit their chest, I see a lot of guys catching like this. When it's Josh Allen throwing, they're they're trying to stay away from that because he throws the football, man.
No, you're right, man. And this is another, it's just really nice job of the rookie going through progression. And again, maybe this isn't the first team he's playing against, but I don't care. I want him to.
You want to see the progress. You want to see those progressions.
Yeah,
right?
Just do the little things on what it takes to be a quarterback. All right. And so he's trying to work the far side of the field here. It's a 3-by-1 set. And you'll see just a little post wheel by the first 2 receivers to the top of the screen. So a little post wheel, and he's reading high to low. What he wants to do, this is something they've been doing a lot of. They want to hit this down the sideline. They want to get that explosive. But guess what? That guy played him over the top perfectly. So that's taken away. So he moves on in his progression. And you see him work through it. So he's working high to low. He's working left to right on the screen. And so these two receivers right here, they're eliminated. Those 2 guys right there are eliminated. Okay, so his third option right here is coming right into his plane of view. Well, that guy's covered too by Stanford. Mm-hmm. Well, the fourth guy in this option is this tight end that releases right here. But I want you to watch what he does. All right, so what he's going to do, he's going to work to the middle of the field. He's going to go off the screen, but then he's going to pivot back this way, right into Josh Allen's line, the void and the line of view. You think about it. So basically, Daboll here has given Josh Allen 4 options, all almost on one side of the field. Mm-hmm. Look at this. Boom. Beautiful pass. Look at that. Put it right on him.
Beautiful scheme. Beautiful pass. And again, I keep kind of going back to the Brian Daboll effect. I know we're trying to, break down Josh Allen here, but I think so much of Josh Allen's potential success is going to be tied in with what Brian Daboll can do for him. It really is. And I can't really emphasize that enough.
Yeah, and, when I first saw this play, to me, this is something you see in those air raid offenses. This is an air raid play. There's a ton of options, and you're working them a lot. This is, okay, we always talked about Tyrod Taylor and being, kind of a half the field, quarterback. Well, this is the scheme making Allen be a half the field quarterback, but in a way that can get guys open, in a way that makes it easy for him to work through progressions. So, and this guy's not even, and I'll say this guy's not even open. This guy's
right. Open. That's a nice throw. And we talk about all the time the kind of throws Tyrod Taylor makes and doesn't make. That's a throw that he does not make because he's not open. Just plainly put, he's not open. But like the thing that too, when you go back a few plays to, you don't have to go back, but I just mean thinking back to a few plays to that A.J. McCarron RPO play from under center. Mm-hmm. Like those are the sorts of plays that you look at and you say like, Brandon Beane mentioned this when he was talking on Chopin Bulldog the other day about Patrick Mahomes and these air raid quarterbacks and these air raid offenses. They walk off the bus and they're 6 to 7 for 100 yards or 6 to 7 for 80 yards. Like Josh Allen wasn't getting that. And I think what you're going to see a little bit, I think you're going to see air raid concepts in Brian Daboll's scheme because they want to put the confidence. I think if Josh Allen can start a game 3 or 4, 4 or 5 for 30 yards, but he gets those completions under his belt, like those are the sorts of things that help you build throughout a full football game.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that because on the first day of practice, I hammered Josh Allen, and I admitted he had 4 or 5 good plays that day. But to me, his mental toughness lacked that day. I did not see that on film with him a lot, but I saw it that day. And when he started missing passes,
the body language,
very frustrated. His body language was horrible. Your teammates see that on your first day of practice. They're trying to pick him up. The coach is trying to pick him up. I didn't like that. I thought that was a bad first impression for a quarterback that was drafted, top 10. And, so I dinged him for because I want my quarterback to be more mentally tough than that, especially on your first day. Like I understand jitters, but I'll admit he has progressed the first few days when it comes to that. And you had mentioned about, trying to get some easy stuff for him early. To me, he's like a basketball player. He's very streaky. You saw that confidence today, man. When he was, like I said, when he was, dealing it down the seam there on that play to McLeod, when he started hitting those passes, guess what? You felt his confidence. You felt his teammates start watching him, as you mentioned before. And it definitely picked up this crowd. I mean, everyone's watching this guy. And he became really hot in this practice. And yes, I know he threw 2 interceptions, and we're going to get to that, but that wasn't all on him. But he gained confidence throughout this practice, and it was nice to see, especially again from seeing him from day 1 to day 3.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's kind of what you need to see. And here's the interception that I do believe was on him. He just didn't get the ball out further enough, or as far as he needed to. And this was immediately following 2 really, really good throws. One, the touchdown to Kalen Clay up the left sideline. But maybe a more impressive throw was the back shoulder throw to Cam Phillips right in front of me. I was like, I think
we're going to get to that. We're going to
get that play, and this is the next play after that. So, but I just think like following up those 2 plays with a play like this is sort of what you're going to start to see from a rookie quarterback because he gains that confidence and he makes a throw he maybe shouldn't have made.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And when we actually break down the play here, you're going to see why it was a bad decision. Okay, so we want to start off with that movement, right? You got Murphy coming to the backfield. The Bills obviously are in a 3-by-1 set out here to the field. But I also want you to watch when you guys are watching practice. And I told you guys, keep an eye on the individual periods, what they're working on, what the coaches are telling them. Well, guess what? During those periods when they're even doing walkthroughs, Nate, and these team periods, what you need to pay attention to are these down distances because right now it's 3rd down. So you got to keep that in mind. See 3rd down, and here's the first down marker. All right, so this is a 3rd down play. So it's a big play. These are the type of plays when you're trying to grade and evaluate him. These are the ones you need to pay attention to. And he made a mistake here because we'll start off with the motion of the running back, but you're also going to see Ray McLeod right here motion to the middle of the field and basically set up in a bunch set. And after you saw the motion from the running back, you saw this motion here. It's apparent that they're in man coverage, right, Nate?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's making it obvious for your young quarterback, which again is all going to be scheme related.
Yes, and this is a simple concept. It's one that we ran a ton of last year. So what you're going to see here from the bunch set is you're going to just have a little flat route here. You're going to have Ray McLeod just running a little curl right here. And I believe this was Prohl, the intended target. He's just running to the corner of the end zone. He's running the flag route to the corner. So you got a little snag spot route here. It's a very common concept.
I thought he threw it pretty flat. I thought he threw the route to Prohl a little flat, and that's why you're going to see the pick.
Yes, and I want to start off with I thought that given the down and distance, I thought he got greedy. I thought his confidence was really high, which is okay. Get that out now. But if you watch McLeod right here, he's wide open. And does he get the first down? Who knows? But guess what? He'd be catching the ball right there. The defender, you'll see, he's probably at least 5 yards off because he's got to work through all this traffic here. Yep. Right? So he's going to sit. McLeod's going to sit right there. If the ball's on him right now, I mean, look at the middle of the field, bro.
Yeah, and that's Ray McLeod. All you got to do is give him a little bit of a jolt to the inside of the field. He might be gone, more than likely. Like, that's the kind of play you want to. But again, this is the sort of play in understanding that you'd rather take a 2-yard and maybe have the opportunity to lead your receiver to the first down rather than trying to go for a touchdown here on this play or taking too much. Rather, he needs to be able to. And this is all stuff that all rookies deal with. It's not just Josh Allen. It's taking what the defense gives you, and that is something that's acquired, much like, when you're a kid, you don't like to taste a beer until you're 21, right?
No, definitely. And, we talked about some of the bad, and he gets a little greedy here, but I'll lead it into the bad with this too, because, okay, the Bills, they're showing a double A-gap blitz right here. I mean, they're bringing everybody. And if you watch the play, you're going to see the vertical sets by the two tackles here. You're going to see vertical sets, and you're going to see a pocket develop right up the middle right here. And he just steps up, slight movement. And guess what? Nate, you nailed it. He's standing tall in the pocket, man. They're sending pressure. And you see the middle of the field, it's vacant. There's no one there. That means everyone's coming at Josh Allen, and he's standing tall. He's looking down the field. I mean, this is just I like that part of this play. He is unfazed by that pressure that's coming. He's trusting his offensive line, and he's looking down the field. Now, on the back end, you'll see it. As you mentioned, he throws it a little flat here. You see Ryan Carter. He's sitting pretty much right at the goal line where Prohl is, kind of about to float into the end zone here.
He threw it like an out route and not a corner route. Yeah. Is how I saw the play. And the other thing, too, is one of the biggest criticisms that I've seen amongst national people when they're criticizing Josh Allen is that on film, he didn't really show a willingness to stay in the pocket and make throws when that he left it too soon without really allowing a pocket to establish it. In this case, this other than the throw and other than the decision, if he threw this to Ray McLeod, I would have to think that Brian Daboll's using this play right here on film, and they're watching it over and over again about this is how you execute in the NFL. You step up in the pocket and you make a throw, an easy throw. He chose the more difficult throw. He needs to choose the easy throw. Other than that, honestly, he gets an A other than the interception.
No, I agree with you, man, because, he's trusting Murphy so much right here. He's picking up that A-gap blitz from a linebacker, and he picks it up really well, and just a little hitch in the pocket, and he's standing tall. Man, honestly, when I watched this live, I didn't get to see that, but when I re-rolled this tape and watched it, I was pretty impressed with this. And to me, honestly, the interception is one thing, and especially given the down distance, but I like his composure and poise in the pocket here, and that's something that if you watch it live, you probably didn't see, but heck of a play by Ryan Carter, man. Mm-hmm. I'll give him that, too. And look, he gets his feet down. So nice defensive play. But there was some good and bad in that play. And I think that's kind of, that's Josh Allen in a nutshell. But some of the things that you hear from national media and how hard they are on him and his criticisms and his weaknesses and how bad he is, it's exaggerated. Let's be honest here. It's exaggerated because, some of the things that he can't do, you see him do. It's just a matter of getting it consistent. Getting that type of play from him consistently where he's completing those out routes, those flat routes to running backs and screens. It's stuff that, that he's going to have to work on. But here's the other interception. All right. So this one, what would you say about this one, Nate? Would you say this was on him?
And I'm glad Aaron just said this in the chat. He was like, this is a throw we didn't see from Tyrod. After the throw was made and it was intercepted by Poyer, I was standing next to Sale, and Sale turned back to me and said the exact same thing that Aaron just said. He said Tyrod doesn't even make that throw. Doesn't even make it.
And you know what? In the stands, people were saying the same thing. Honestly, they were saying the same thing. And I'm going to set up this play again by saying, they're in a 3-by-1 set, and they have the running back next to Allen, and they simply motion him out wide. All right, and they got a tight alignment by Benjamin here, expecting that running back to obviously align outside of him. But that little movement by the running back tells what? Okay, here comes linebacker going with that running back. So they're in man coverage. And one of the biggest trends, and that's one thing I've liked about Daboll, and I've said it on Twitter, Daboll is bringing things that are trendy around the league. Around the league. You'll see it on the Kalen play touchdown that he sifts the tight end across the formation. You'll see this here. It's a slot fade. This is one of the biggest plays in college football right now. You have a slot fade. So you're motioning out this running back out here wide, right? And then you're getting obviously man coverage. That means Vontae Davis is on man coverage versus Kelvin Benjamin. And he does have good leverage on Kelvin Benjamin here. He's playing outside leverage, and he has a good job of having his eyes to the quarterback. So it's a really tough throw to make. But guess what? He makes it. He gives this guy a shot, and it's really easy. I mean, discipline again with eyes, right? Nate gets to the top of his drop, eyes are on the safety, and then boom, that single high safety has to work all the way across the field to Benjamin. But it's a pretty good throw, wouldn't you say?
I think it's a great throw. I was on the other sideline. You had the rear view from the other side. It was I thought a really perfectly placed ball. And what this play shows is a trust in Kelvin Benjamin. It's an understanding of who is covering Kelvin Benjamin. It's Tre'Davious White. It's the best cornerback on the team.
He's Vontae Davis. Yes.
Oh, it's Vontae. Okay. Either way, he simply doesn't have the size to match up with Kelvin Benjamin. To be honest with you, Aaron talks about a 50-50 ball. This is really more like a 70-30 ball. And that's what you have with Kelvin Benjamin is that number, that 50-50 idea. It's contested, but he has the advantage, a significant one over most corners in this league. So especially when you're talking about him coming from the slot. So I thought that the ball was well placed. I thought Kelvin should come down with it. He tipped it up twice.
Yeah, he tipped it with his left hand first, tipped it to himself, and you'll see it right here. He's tipping it with his right hand, but that right there is where the ball catapults up right into Poyer's hands right here.
Yeah, absolutely. But this play, it really what it to me shows is already an understanding of matchups, but more so is having that trust factor. And that's the one thing that I'm going to be excited to watch Josh Allen is there is no question that Josh Allen is willing to make just about any throw on the field.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it's something that you talked about last year with the back shoulder throws and just these 50-50 balls. They're not throws that Tyrod would make. And that's too bad. And this is the Kalen Clay touchdown here. And so we'll set it up. It's a simple curl wheel concept to the top of the screen. And what I like here is, and I question this play, Nate, because honestly, to me, this almost looks like an RPO. And you can see Josh Allen takes a long time to run the play here. And it looks like he's trying to tell the tackle right here, almost like sell the run. But just watch the sets by the offensive lineman. It looks like it's almost like an RPO once the ball is snapped here. I mean, I can't confirm it, but it looks like it. But anyways, what you're going to have this tight end to the near side of the field. You're going to have this tight end sift across the formation. You're going to have this running back just running a little inside, it looks like inside zone track here. And of course, that right there is going to create issues for not only the linebackers here, which that gets them downhill, but it creates issues with this defensive end who's unblocked because he's put in a bind. All right. He sees the tight end coming at him. He sees the play fake to the running back. He wants to naturally come down and stop this run play. Well, obviously the ball is not handed off, but the block by the tight end and, just that action holds that rush. And that's what's nice about a little simple play like this, Nate, is that it's going to stunt that pass rush just a little bit to give Josh Allen and the offensive lineman, for that matter, enough time to get the ball downfield. So now we'll go to the routes because you're going to see it's man coverage, right, Nate? I mean, it looks press man, eyes on the court or on the wide receivers out there. And you're going to see them just a little rub concept, forcing that DB to work either, over the top over here, or he's going to have to undercut it and try to get into the hip pocket of Clay. Well, he chooses that. And when you have a guy like Clay with that speed, I mean, look at the anticipation too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really nice anticipation.
What I love about the scheme up of this play is, generally speaking, when you have a combination route like you do here, or a concept route, typically this is more of like a slant or something that's drawing that guy to the middle of the field so that he has to get around him. It's a pivot play. Like, this whole offense is going to be based around that route. And I think it was you that mentioned it. This is like sort of like right out of the Shanahan textbook. Like it is one of those plays that is tried and true. And he does such a good job of, first of all, delivering a really accurate ball, selling the fake, but allowing it to develop before he throws it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he could look at this and he could throw it too soon and maybe on a rope. There's a couple ways he could throw this ball, but what I love about him is he waits for it to develop, throws it off his back foot, and lays it into the bucket like a beaut.
Yeah, and like I said, there's so much going on in this play. And again, I can't confirm that it's a run pass option, but when you watch this left tackle and you watch that left guard, they're coming downhill as if they are run blocking. So again, it's going to bring those linebackers up. It's going to bring those edge rushers, inside so that this tight end can pull the block off. But it just, again, it's like basketball. You're getting one-on-one on the outside. You're getting speed. You're getting man coverage. I mean, that's just really good schematics on this play. And then the execution by Josh Allen is just beautiful. A great anticipation. Clay's not looking. Clay hasn't even cleared really the little rub route by Cam Phillips. And the ball's delivered with touch, with perfect trajectory for Clay to run up under for the touchdown.
Yeah, and this is my favorite play from camp from today, but I think it might be the offensive play of the week so far of what they've really been able to do. And these are pro-style concepts where a lot of times, you're talking about whether or not it could be an RPO. I just think the movement from the offensive line, it sort of confuses me. I don't know either, to be honest with you. It seems like the left side's doing one thing, the center's doing another, and then the right side's doing a third thing. Like, it seems like they're all sort of not on the same page there. But that's a pro concept you're seeing there. There are a ton of college concepts sprinkled into this offense, but right there is a pro concept that was run to a T.
No doubt about it. And again, I think I was like, what is Allen doing? Because you saw him for 5 to 10 seconds trying to get the tackle's attention, trying to relay something to him. Then he looks back, I think, at Daboll and tries relaying something. So I don't know if they have some kind of call to make that side sell run versus a slide protection to the right side from the center to the right, because it just looks different. When you watch it, there's so much going on. And again, you're talking about so many different concepts. That tight end sift, if you guys go follow Mark Bullock for the Washington Post, he has a really good Twitter moment, that has a bunch of those sift blocks from that tight end coming across the formation. Definitely check that out. It's just something that is trending around the league. It makes it really tough on that edge rusher. Something definitely you want to take a look at. But Nate, I left out the Cam Phillips play, but I want to give that to the viewers, man. So I want to bring that up real quick because in the Slack channel, in our premium Slack channel, where we get a ton of our ideas from all of our subscribers and members, what we're going to call it, we're going to call the back shoulder pass. We're going to call it the Geary, because it's something that you've loved and talked about for the last year and a half, man.
I'm taking it and I'm running with it. I love that because I have been begging for a quarterback to just attempt it. Just put it in a playbook. Let him try it. This is and listen, I'm going to tell you, personally, when I never really utilized this play. We didn't throw a lot in high school. We ran a triple option. But when I got to college and I learned how to throw this, it's such a difficult play. It's such a difficult throw. You have to throw it with a ton of confidence. But where you're aiming is at the defender. Like, you're aiming the football at the helmet of the defender. And that can scare a lot of people off. But this is such a beautiful throw.
This is so pretty. And I want to, set it up real quick. I don't want to, jam pack the listeners too much and the viewers too much. But again, I question whether this is an actual RPO. Look at the left guard.
Yeah, look at the left guard. I was just going to say.
And then look at the action it's a pre-snap RPO. I'm not talking he's reading a defender, reading a conflict defender. This looks like a pre-snap RPO out of a 3x1 set. You got Cam Phillips to the top of the screen, man up, isolated versus that defensive back. And oh my goodness, the throw. I mean, look, he's already releasing it. Watch Cam Phillips. I'll try to roll it slow. Look at the release. Phillips is not looking, and then, his head's back, and all of a sudden, here comes a ball, and he's adjusting perfectly to the back shoulder throw.
So we talked about, Erik, and I know I've talked about this with you, that the reason, and I wrote this in the article that I wrote earlier in the year, that what's going to make it so difficult to keep Josh Allen off the field and out of the starting lineup is his ability to make throws that other guys can't make. Right here, if you slow-mo the release of this, his body is contorted and in no way should that ball be thrown accurately. His belly button is at the route. If I watch this, he's thrown it. Dude, there's so many things wrong with his base on this throw, but he figures out a way to throw it.
Look at his feet.
Look at his feet. They are literally next to it. He is standing upright, facing the middle of the field. Right now, if where you're looking, he's throwing it onto the 390. That's if you're looking at this still right here, if you were to tell me where this ball goes, I'm saying over there at the Ryder truck.
Yeah, exactly.
Straight up. Like it's unbelievable that he's able. And now this footwork gets him in trouble in the short game. And this is the stuff that he needs to clean up when he is asked to be precise and asked to execute more West Coast type concepts. But this, I'm fine because he can make every throw with his arm downfield in just his arm. So if he's going to throw balls like this with that footwork, I guess I'm open to it.
Yeah, this is a really nice play. And honestly, it was a play that they've been trying to hit the last couple of days. Yesterday, day 2 of camp, they tried at least 2 back shoulder throws with Allen. And what happened yesterday is Kaylin Clay was coming down the near sideline running a go route, and the leverage of the DB was just like this, really tight upfield, and there was no throw down the field, but it was an isolation route, and they wanted to hit that big play. And Allen threw it. He anticipated the throw, but Kaylin Clay, he didn't look back for the ball. And as soon as the ball hit the ground, Daboll ran over to the receiving group and was yelling at them because he was expecting that receiver to look back shoulder. Yep. This is in the offense. This is going to be a throw that this offense is going to throw.
And much like the pivot, I think it's going to be an integral part to it because you have to – and listen, Brian Daboll is sort of brought up in a vertical style throwing, vertical concepts. And when you talk about vertical and you talk about West Coast, people are like, wow, there's just so much stuff. But like a West Coast is really based off nuanced route running, timing, footwork of the quarterback. This type of offensive vertical style offense or passing game is really going to be relied upon where the football is downfield, because there's a lot of times in vertical pass sets and in concepts that the guy isn't open. And that's sort of the point of it. So, and that's honestly where Josh Allen's going to thrive is throwing balls that 85 to 90% of the league would have no business trying to throw.
Yeah, that was, a great play. And again,
that's an Aaron Rodgers throw. This is an Aaron Rodgers throw.
And, and you talk about why it's going to be part of this offense. It's going to be part of this offense because, let's be honest here, there are only a few guys that can separate with speed. And if the concept doesn't work, if it's not schemed up properly and maybe they see a different coverage than what they expected, you got to have plays that are uncoverable. And this fade, this back shoulder throw is a throw that's uncoverable. If it's worked on enough, if there's enough rapport between the quarterback and these receivers, plays like this can happen on a regular. And you see that from some of the best in the game. And so it was nice to see Josh Allen connect with Cam Phillips here, guys that he'd been working with a lot in camp. So little things like that rapport that these quarterbacks are getting with their wide receivers, it's nice to see it pay off. And again, this was during that streaky time when Allen was on fire on this drive.
Yeah, man. I don't know. After today, I left really excited. My thing tomorrow morning, 8:45. Can he string 2 practices together? Because if he can do that, he looked better. He looked head above heels better than the other 2 quarterbacks. Nathan Peterman has taken a big slide from the spring, where I thought he was a lock to be the starting quarterback week 1. I don't see that anymore. Right now, after today, now Nathan Peterman can turn around and have a good practice tomorrow and change my mind about this, but right now it's a 2-man race, and it's between A.J. McCarron and it's between Josh Allen. That can change tomorrow, but that's how I feel today. If Josh Allen can string 2-3 of these practices together, have a good preseason game, then string 1 or 2 more like this, there is absolutely a blueprint for Josh Allen to start, and it is far simpler than I thought it was going to be at this point.
Yeah, I was, from seeing day 1 to day 3, this was, again, he made mistakes. He made mistakes, but they're good learning, coaching points, both. He had some really good throws, and you saw it. He worked through his progressions. Yes, some of the inaccuracies are there, but he's working through the progressions, and you can tell he's picking up the offense slowly but surely. Today, again, you saw his confidence. I've seen him already in the first 3 days be at his lowest low, and then you see plays today. Even though he made those mistakes, he was still out there. He still held his head high and was being aggressive. And I think that when you see some of these plays and like that last drive when he was getting streaky, he was, making a lot of those plays. Again, I think there were a lot of RPOs. I can't confirm it. I'm going to look into it a little more and watch it a little more. But I think those were actually pre-snap RPOs, which, again, when we're thinking long-term and what Daboll's trying to build, what this organization's trying to build, they're trying to find their franchise quarterback. Well, these are plays, these RPO plays, especially the ones that are trying to read a linebacker or read safeties, because those are in this playbook. We saw it early on the first couple of days. They're reading safeties, whether they rotate from a 2 high to a single high set. Those are aggressive plays. They're trying to push the plays downfield. They're trying to be aggressive because they know they're gonna run the ball. But when they have the threat of Shady and they put the ball in his belly and it's an RPO and they're reading the safety, well, guess what? That's where those explosive plays come on the outside. And that's just trying to, Daboll trying to get his guys in space. That's trying to put his quarterbacks in the best position to get those explosive plays. Because guess what? The efficiency of those explosive plays are actually going to probably be the determining factor of how good this offense is, because they need to steal plays. They need to be a toxic offense in a good way. They need those explosive, aggressive plays.
Absolutely. All right, well, we're at the hour mark. We got to cut it. We've got one more shirt to give away, and the next person that signs up for premium content that is – ooh,
we got a different one here.
Oh, snap. All right, well, the next person that is in this chat or that's watching this podcast, doesn't have to be right now, that signs up for the premium membership and shoots Erik an email or a message and lets him know that he saw this on the podcast today, that they're signing up for the premium, you'll get the t-shirt. So sign up for the premium. It's cheap. It's great. And you get to interact with us on the Slack channel, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, man. This was fun. I was so excited driving the whole way home, man. I was texting Nate, listening to you. I was going nuts, man. It was awesome.
Erik said, I was in the middle of my show, and Erik's texting me, yo, make sure you say this. And, yo, how about this one play during practice? And I'm like, bro, aren't you driving?
Yeah, no, I was for the first half, and then my phone was just blowing up, and I was getting the video look at the video, and I'm like, wow, this was way more impressive than I thought. And again, we talk about Allen and those interceptions, but when you watch it closely, it was more impressive than I even thought with the naked eye at training camp. So
Erik had to pull over at a rest stop. He's like, Victoria, get in the driver's seat. I got work to do.
Yeah, I know, right? I was like, oh, well, guess what? It's your turn.
All right, man.
But everyone, thanks for joining us, everyone.
Definitely.
And we're gonna try to do this the next couple of days with camp, obviously leading into preseason. But man, Nate, good job, man, hosting today, brother.
Yeah, I'll have my weekend breakdown sometime tomorrow evening, probably coming out on Monday. So you'll want to keep an eye out for that. Obviously, we keep pumping out content at an unbelievable rate. So if you don't have the app, download it so that you know when all this stuff's coming out. Otherwise, for me, Nate Geary, Erik Turner, another episode of Cover One Buffalo. We out.